All right, hey there, everybody. Coach Edwards here from lacrossegoalietips.com and lacrossegoalieuniversity.com and designer of the Athlete Breakthrough Blueprint over at athletespecific.com. I'm glad you're here. Listen, it's a busy time of year for me. We've got all of our lacrosse athletes are gearing up and getting ready to play, as well as my winter athletes are kind of wrapping up their season. But I wanted to talk. We're here. I'm in front of the whiteboard today doing some work for some of our lacrosse goalie clients. So excuse the white background. We're going to get a bunch of videos in front of this white background in the next few weeks. But the question today was 3 tips. So this post about 3 tips to making a great practice for lacrosse goalies. Okay, and one thing I'm a big believer on is giving you principles. All right, because there's plenty of drills, there's plenty of tactics out there, but principles always win out. So I wanted to read you an email. This is what got me to kind of do this topic today. This is from Brody Polanski, who's in Mira Costa Lacrosse in California. This came a little while ago, so Brody, I apologize for the late email. But he said, yes, I'm a goalie coach in Los Angeles, and I'll spread the word on the book all around the area. That's my new book, An Athlete's Guide to Winning in Sports and Life. I also wanted to thank you for doing what you do and for being an influence towards following my dream of being a lacrosse goalie coach. I've watched your videos and have read all your articles since I started playing the game almost 10 years ago. I went on to play at Stevenson University for 2 years before being forced out of the school due to Crohn's disease. That's shitty. Pardon me, Brody, but hey, just on that topic, I'm actually branching out away from lacrosse and sports, and I got a new book that's coming out soon called You Got This, and I'll let you know when that's out too. A year later, I'm in California coaching at a high school in Manhattan Beach and putting on goalie clinics. Your knowledge and passion for the position is something I pass on to my keepers every day, and for that, I'm forever thankful. Any general advice of putting on a practice dedicated to the position of lacrosse goalies or anything related to coaching the position would be greatly appreciated. Thanks again. I'd love to hear from you. Well, Brody, listen, these make me cry. I'm not crying now because I'm holding my stuff together, but when I read this offline, these really tug at my heartstrings because this is really a labor of love. Of all the coaches that are posting stuff on YouTube, I think I'm like the only guy that really responds to people, and we've got our Facebook group and all that stuff. So I really kind of create a community of lacrosse goalie coaches. So Brody, for you and for everybody else out there, for the parents watching this, for the coaches watching this, and for the goalies who are frustrated in practice, here are my 3 tips for a great practice for lacrosse goalies. All right, principles, right? We're leading with principles. First and foremost, some sort of movement prep. Okay, what is that? So with my background as a strength and conditioning coach, one of the things, and an Olympic athlete, one of the things I learned was that when we come out to learn skills, right, we are bringing like 2 bodies. One is the body that we just rolled out of class with, the body that just rolled out of bed for an early morning weekend practice and stayed up too late. We've been sitting in the car for however long, and we show up and then we grab our stick and we hop in the net. A lot of goalies just hop in the net and use getting shot on as a warm-up. But one of the things that I realized was that when you are learning skills, you've got 2 bodies. One is that cold body that's kind of stiff and tight and inflexible. And then you have another body that's not, one that you've given the time to stretch and work and move and create movement for the body and be warm and loose. That body moves differently, and that's the body that allows you to move into what's called peak state, right? I wrote about that in my book, but basically we're trying to ramp up a goalie to be in peak state to adapt all these drills. Now, inside Lacrosse Goalie University, I go into this in a lot of detail, but I'm going to keep it short here. You got to do some sort of movement prep to get ready for moving to balls in the cage, especially balls that are like off stick low, right? That's the hardest shot to save. And if you're doing that with tight hamstrings and a tight low back and because you've been sitting all day, you're not going to move to that ball as effectively. And what are you doing then? You're just wiring in poor movement skills. So we don't want to be doing that. So some sort of movement prep before you take shots is key, right? So that's step number 1 to a good practice. Step number 2 is visualization. Okay, so visualization, one of the things that I do with my goalies before they even get shot on in practice is once a goalie has had enough shots, like, they've got a little bit of an inventory, they understand what it looks like for the ball to come at them and how to move in front of the ball. I want them to work basically without the ball coming at them and I want them to visualize a ball coming at them and then making all the saves, right? Because what we want to do is we can't do anything quickly that we haven't yet mastered slowly. But if we get in the cage and we're stressed out, or if your goalies are worried they're going to get hurt or hit, then they're in high beta, right? In the high beta brain waves, you're not learning in that case. We got to bring it down. We want to try to bring it down into alpha waves, right? Where a goalie can just relax and can absorb and learn. The best time to do that is when you're not getting shot on at all. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined with feeling, all right? So after you do your movement prep, have your goalies go off and spend 5 minutes moving properly in front of the ball, but without the ball coming at them, right? Now, old school thinking on this was walk the line, but as if you watch my videos on why stepping to the ball is wrong and why stepping to the ball is still wrong, those are one of my most popular videos. Watch those, but you'll understand I don't want your goalies just walking the line, but what you're doing is kind of similar, but you're just moving properly without balls being shot at you, okay? So why are we doing that? We're wiring in good movement, right? We're wiring in that good goalie response to the shooter without the stress of the shooter, okay? So that's step number 2, visualization. Step 3 now is progression, right? So once you get that goalie in the cage, right, getting shot on, seeing balls, we want to be seeing balls in, again, not a stressful situation right away, right? We're just getting the shots like we were visualizing, but now we're getting the shots, we're getting the balls at us, we're moving properly, we're now learning how to catch, not give up rebounds, finish through the ball, proper positioning, right? And then picking that loose ball up if we drop it and throwing it back to the coach or the shooter or whoever it might be, all right? But from there, we start with slow pressure or light pressure on the goalie, and then we're going to slowly increase the progression, right? We're going to increase the speed. We're going to increase the volume of shots, right? How many shots are a goalie getting in a practice, right? What kind of shots are they getting, right? And from that too, Brody, to answer your question, make sure that your goalie is seeing shots in practice that they're seeing on game day. It always surprises me. Actually, it doesn't surprise me anymore, but when I talk to goalies or parents who are frustrated and we do our Lacrosse Goalie cheat sheets, if you don't have those, you can get the download on the website at lacrossegoalietips.com, the free cheat sheets I've got there. When you do an analysis of where the balls are going in on game day, now you can find out what kind of shots you need to be working on in practice, right? So when it comes to progression, we want to make sure we're progressing to those shots that we're seeing on game day, right? And not just the shots that like the coach thinks we're supposed to work on. It always surprises me how sometimes distant coaches are to actually the shots they're giving up, right? They know sometimes like, oh, we're giving up shots on man down, but they don't necessarily know where on the field, all right? So make sure you're progressing and using those shots in practice, all right? So I go into more detail of this for our Lacrosse Goalie University members. Also, in our private Facebook group called Creating the Lacrosse Goalie of the Future, right? I suggest you head on over to Facebook, get in there, and it's a private group, so it's just for goalies and parents and coaches who I kind of know and like and trust, and they like me, and so we're not getting some crazy advice in there. Get on over and check it out. So Brody, listen, thanks so much for the email. I really appreciate it. And it's always great to see kind of the work that I do here and how it affects guys. And so I'm proud of you, proud of what you're doing, proud of all our lacrosse goalies. And thanks for watching. So listen, couple last things. Head on over to iTunes. Search for lacrossegoalietips.com on iTunes. We got the podcast there. And I also add new audio that you don't see here on the YouTube channel or on my blog at lacrossegoalietips.com. So I'm sending you a lot of places, but I'm just telling you where all the resources are. When you're ready and you want to be working with me individually, if you're one-on-one, if that's something that's a fit for you, you can reach out, lacrossegoalietips.com/call, book a call, and we'll get on the phone and see if we might be a good fit. So thanks so much. See you next week. Cheers. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube or on our website, do me a favor and like the video, share it, subscribe it if you would. And also, if you're on iTunes, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I put original content on iTunes. I do extra podcasts and things like that that you won't just see on the YouTube channel or on the blog. So be sure you subscribe over there. And listen, every week I put out new content as well as in our private Facebook group at Creating the Lacrosse Goalie of the Future. All the links to all the resources I talked about today will be in the show notes below. So if you're on your phone on iTunes, you'll be able to link to them there, as well as if you're on the blog or on YouTube, you'll see them there as well. If you got a question for me, feel free to email me, coachedwards@lacrossegoalietips.com, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.